sustainable development principle would also involve eco-efficiency. Eco-efficiency describes activities that create economic value while continuously reducing ecological impact and use of resources. So that would mean the eco here stands for economic as well as ecology. And that is also vividly seen from the figure that I have here. We have the tree, which stands for ecology, and then we have the money, which stands for the economic value. Eco-efficiency can be synonymously used with another principle of sustainable development, which is cleaner production. But how do we differentiate eco-efficiency versus cleaner production? It all depends on the objective. So, it depends upon where you start. For eco-efficiency, you normally start with economic value. For example, in order for you to run a plant, you would be needing what? Let's say this is your system. You would be needing inputs such as raw materials. You would also be needing energy as one of the resources, which is being run by the equipment. And of course, manpower. But in this case, we eliminate manpower. So we only base it from these inputs. And then this would be correspondingly giving you outputs. But definitely, you have learned from thermodynamics also that there's no such thing as 100% efficient system. And therefore, some of the outputs would be the waste. So, on the concept of eco-efficiency, you always start with the monetary value. Objective of reducing the monetary value, but to optimize productivity as well as effectivity of the system. So, how do you do that? For raw materials, you normally reduce the input of materials without, of course, jeopardizing the quality of the product. By doing so, you are actually eliminating the waste, right? So in the same manner, if you would be doing something about your equipment, the objective is to minimize the buying of equipment so as to, and basically prolong the life of the equipment. So that would mean lesser cost. However, by taking care of your equipment, doing some proactive, preventive maintenance, you would be prolonging the equipment, and therefore, you would minimize the problem of disposing this equipment. You just imagine how to dispose big equipment because they're no longer functional. So that would be decreasing the environment. So you see the point? You have eliminated the operational cost, but at the same time, you would be reducing the waste. So that's eco-efficiency. On the contrary, cleaner production would have the same principle, but the main objective of cleaner production is you start first from the environment. Your objective is to reduce waste. But eventually, as you do so, you are actually gaining profit. So, it also gives you the same output as eco-efficiency. For example, in the industry, let's say we have a scrubber. So a particular scrubber, for example, would be emitting SOx. Your objective, since you would learn under our air module, that SOx is one of the criteria pollutants and that you have to have only 30 ppm of SOx in the environment in order to be acceptable in our guideline. Most plants are utilizing what we call scrubber, or specifically they make use of a wet scrubber. And then here, they put certain chemicals that would precipitate the SOx. So for example, what particular chemical? Let's take the first example, calcium oxide. So since it's a wet scrubber, it will react with water. So you will have calcium hydroxide. And since SOx would be trapped in the scrubber, therefore your SOx would also be reacting with water, since it's wet, in order for you to produce, let's say, we consider SO3, that would give you sulfuric acid. What have you learned in your basic chemistry? That an acid and a base would be yielding what? A salt. So in this case, you have calcium sulfate plus water. Since you have learned that this is an insoluble precipitate or an insoluble salt, this will precipitate. So they can simply collect it as a form of sludge, and therefore they have eliminated the SOX. However, take note class, this would give you another waste. That's a sludge. How would cleaner production be applied? They sell this, take note, this is calcium sulfate, which is gypsum. These can be sold to manufacturers of strengthened plywoods or woods that are utilized for construction. Particularly that brand we call Hardiflex. So, what do? You eliminate SOX, you eliminate the waste from the sludge, but you gain profit out of the selling of the calcium sulfate. You can also make use of another base as a chemical in the wet scrubber. For example, you can make use of ammonia. Ammonia plus water will give you ammonium hydroxide. So, the same reaction, if ammonium hydroxide will be reacting with your sulfuric acid, the same thing here, that would give you what? That would give us ammonium sulfate plus water. Where do you think we can sell this if this will be in the form of sludge? Ammonia is the major component of fertilizers. Therefore, you can sell this to fertilizer company. So then again, you have eliminated the air emission, you have eliminated the sludge that you have produced out of the treatment, and then you have gained profit out of the selling of the ammonium sulfate. So that is cleaner production. So you can now differentiate. It depends upon where you would like to start. Would you like to start from economic value, or would you like to start with the environmental aspect? It all depends. Now, another principle of sustainable development is aesthetic richness. Everyone would love to have aesthetic. This is actually what we need in order to provide a quality of life. So, a plant which is topsy-turvy and then with chaos would not be sustainable. Why? Why do you think so? Number one, it would lessen time. Because if the plant is not arranged, you would be having more time to find things you need. Number two, you also need aesthetic richness because if it's chaotic, you would be adding more risk to accidents, correct? So that would not be sustainable as well. So here, aesthetic consideration is a critical component of a quality of life. Now, sustainable development is being run by a science, which is what we call industrial ecology. A while ago, I have defined ecology as interaction of the biotic and abiotic components of the ecosystem. So these different matrices of the environment will now be reacting with the sphere that we have introduced. What was that sphere again? It's technosphere. So industrial ecology is the science that developed from introducing the systems framework into industry. Our goal in industrial ecology to promote sustainability is to create a sustainable industrial system. How do we identify whether it's a sustainable industrial system? We actually would like to optimize the total material cycle. And it is shown by the figure here.